morning to you, Lauren. We are still seeing flooding out here, and we are still seeing the bay at a very high level. What you're looking at here, the water that is in the roadway is fresh water. That is rainwater. It came from all of the rain that we just saw over the last few hours. So folks who are driving through this, they are driving through rainwater. If the water from the bay were to breach, we obviously would then see this water start to rise. We would see it to get worse. You may notice something else out here. It is not raining anymore. I can see the sun. Now, I am not a meteorologist, okay? That is Greg's job. But you can see the sun up there peeking out from the clouds. And that may look like a good thing, but Greg says it's not necessarily a good thing. And I'm going to read his text verbatim because, once again, I am not a meteorologist. But this is what he said, because we were just texting about this. He said, the sun heats up the atmosphere, which raises the temperature, which gives more energy to storms that pop up, more energy for heavy rain and isolated tornadoes. I had to read that verbatim just to give you an idea of why seeing the sun right now may not be the best thing for the current condition. So we will continue to monitor what we're seeing out here. Again, no rain, but we are still seeing freshwater flooding. We're seeing that high water in the bay. Hopefully it does not continue to rise. I know Greg said that high tide later tonight could be a bad thing, and we could see more flooding over here. We'll continue to watch the conditions out here, and we'll let you know if anything changes. For now, we're live along Bayshore Boulevard. Heather Lee, ABC Action News.
Heather, thank you. Great report there. Actually, all our reporters, hopefully they can hear me or we can convey the message to them. Now that we're coming out of low tide, whether it's Casey there in Clearwater, Larissa over towards St. Pete, Heather on Bayshore, since we're coming out of a high tide, let's set up a way to monitor where the water is, maybe place something, a stick, a rock at the edge of the water now, and see what happens to it over the next several hours. Is it going to recede like the tide chart said it should? Or is the storm pushing so much water in our direction that the water doesn't recede?
This whole grassy area was not underwater about an hour ago, and now it is. So the water is pushing up onto the grass. Again, like Greg and I have been talking all morning, this is fresh water. This is from earlier this morning. This is from the rain that we got from this morning. And then I would imagine probably some left over from last night as well. This is not from the bay, but there's nowhere for this water to go. Eventually, that water from the bay could rise and it could breach. And if we see more water mix in with this, this could become obviously a more serious situation with higher water. More flooding off, on Bayshore Boulevard, potentially up into, neighborhood streets. And we have seen that before. In fact, my photographer, Jason, was saying this was the exact spot they were at. I believe it was Tropical Storm Debbie, or maybe even the previous storm before that, where they saw flooding, all the way up to that street. I believe that's Magnolia, and it was all the way up Magnolia. So we know that it floods out here, but we just never know how bad it's going to get. We have been out here since 3 in the morning. The flooding has slowly gotten worse throughout this entire morning, and it is continuing to get worse out here. You can see right now, we actually had to move from the location where we were before. We were only 1 block away from where we are now. We're actually at Brevard Avenue. We were 1 block that way near Swan, but we decided to move locations because where we were parked, we knew that if this water continued to rise, we would not be able to leave the parking lot where we were. In fact, our parking lot may end up flooding, so we decided out of safety to move down a street. That way, if we had to leave, we could safely get out of here. Well, good morning to both of you. So we actually were invited onto a rooftop near Bayshore Boulevard, so it's a little bit windier up here because of that, but it was a very nice gesture by a neighbor here to allow us to come up here and get a different vantage point of Bayshore Boulevard. So I want you to take a look here. You can see a lot of folks are still coming out to take a look at the flooding out here, and we did see several people attempting to cross Bayshore Boulevard. In fact, you might see some people right here in pink crossing. Jason, I don't know if you can see them, but I want you to take a look at them because you can see how deep this water goes. So let's take a look here. Looks like this person in pink is crossing right there. So that person almost fell. It looked like they tripped a little, but look how deep that water is. A little above the knee. And on certain people, it's up to their thigh. This water is extremely deep, and I think that there is a false sense of security here, because I think people think, well, this water is from the bay or it's rainwater, it's safe. This is not safe water. This water is mixed with all kinds of things, and we've been saying this all morning long. It can be very dangerous to walk through water like this. Again, more people attempting to walk through the water right now. You can see those folks in blue and black. It looks like they are also going to be about knee and thigh deep. Again, there could be snakes in the water. There could be bacteria in the water. If you have a cut, it could get infected. It is just not a good idea. Don't do it. You should stay out of the water. I think, at this point, if you want to come look, stay on the grass. Take a few pictures and then get out of there. Don't frolic through the water like some of these folks are doing. I do want to give you an idea, though. So we're on Brevard Street or Brevard Avenue, and you can see the water has been slowly creeping up Brevard. We actually had to move our location because we were 1 block away from where we are right now. And where we were, the parking lot, we were afraid we were going to get trapped in that parking lot if we didn't leave because of the rising water. I know that we've been saying all morning, around 9 a.m. was when we saw high tide, and then the high tide was ending, so we were hoping that this water would recede a little bit, and it just never did. The water just continued to rise, and it just continues to rise. So unfortunately, this is the situation right now. A lot of homeowners are continuing to stay. Obviously, the rooftop that we're on, this homeowner decided to stay. They're in a 3-story home. They just bought this home, and he said, there again is 3 stories. They're renovating it, so fortunately for him, he hasn't done the flooring yet at the bottom. His house, though, the bottom floor is 10 feet above where the street is. So if it doesn't get up to 10 feet, then his house will likely be fine. The house next door, he was saying that those folks are also staying. So a lot of these folks, they're used to flooding happening on Bayshore Boulevard. We report on this all the time. But again, just not the best situation. And once again, really flooding, walking through the floodwaters, that's really the story at this hour that we just want to advise against. We're going to continue to monitor this, and hopefully it doesn't get into people's homes, but as of right now, it just has continued to creep up streets and other side streets. I mean, we were looking down Bayshore Boulevard. All of Bayshore Boulevard is inundated with water. The storm system drains are inundated with water, so there's nowhere for this water to go but continue to rise up those streets. If high tide, like Greg was saying, comes in and the water from the bay does breach that wall and starts to splash over onto Bayshore Boulevard, we could see that water continue to rise. So we'll just keep watching the conditions out here, and we will bring you the latest. But again, hopefully folks are either evacuating if they don't feel safe, or that this does not get into homes. We'll just continue to watch the situation out here. For now, we're live along Bayshore Boulevard. Heather Lee, ABC Action News.